What's up, Knucklehead? I am Lupine Fiasco, and this is your daily FaB gameplay. For anyone who's new to the channel, welcome to the jungle. What we do here is review replays of games that I played on the Talishar client days or weeks ago after enough time has passed that I lose my bias and can more objectively judge the quality of my play. I'll talk through turn cycles and give my thoughts on the line I would take now compared to the line I took then at the time of recording. We either learn from my mistakes or reinforce good play patterns with the overall goal of tightening and optimizing our gameplay in the future to take down paper events like the upcoming US Nationals and, most importantly, walk away with that shiny cardboard. If you would like to check out the deck I'm playing here or try it for yourself on Talishar, there is a FaB deck link available in the video description below. While you're down there, if you haven't already done so, please consider subscribing to my channel. A YouTube subscription is the best free way to support me and to make sure that you see daily FaB gameplay in your video feed 5 days a week. The best paid way to support me is through Patreon, and a Patreon link is also in the video description. A Patreon subscription will get you access to the DFG Discord and the shiny cardboard Talishar card back. At higher tiers, your name will appear in every DFG video. You'll get bonus DFG content every week, and there are even more benefits to come. Daily FaB gameplay will always be free 5 days a week, so for those who can afford to patronize me, I truly appreciate it. Now, let's talk about our sideboard and about our game plan. I can't say that I've seen a lot of Bravo lately. He has certainly been overshadowed by this young upstart Victor Goldbane, but I am glad to see Bravo's on Talishar. I enjoy the matchup. It isn't one that I think goes as well for Kayo as Victor does. I think Kayo generally is favored into both Guardians, with Betsy too. But Bravo throws a lot more disruption and is a lot harder to deal with Kayo not having defense reactions in his deck. Dominated Crippling Crush is still going to hurt, and depending on your equipment loadout, you may just not be able to block it. With Tunic instead of Sash, you can block exactly one Dominated Crippling Crush with all of your equipment and a card from hand, but you can't do it again, and you've blocked with Scowling Fleshbag for no benefit aside from not getting crushed. So I enjoy that Bravos are making a comeback because I like getting experience into the matchup. What is new since the last time Bravo was really relevant is that apparently all of the Bravos on Talishar, at least the ones that I play against, bought the Tolarian Community College Round the Table product because they are all playing Crashdown and Earthlore Empowerment, which are not cards that I am familiar with playing. I don't really know if this big Bravo is good, if it is something that you should expect to see when you play against Bravo, but it's what I've been running into. Outside of this sort of empowering nonsense, Bravos are still up to their old tricks with Starstruck, Crippling Crush, Spinal Crush, Command and Conquer plus Tunic Pummel, all the old Guardian favorites that we are going to have to deal with. For our part, we are doing the same Guardian plan that we would against Victor, where we will try to set up Cast Bones, hopefully combining that with Bloodrush Bellow to go way over the top of what Guardian can block. Of course, Bravo is a little easier to get over the top of because he is not drawing cards off of Test of Strengths and Trounces. I've also seen about half of the Bravos I played against recently are on Crown of Providence rather than Balance of Justice, which is great news for us because we don't need to worry about them having more available blocks from that card draw on our big Bloodrush Bellow turns. For our sideboarding, I am still experimenting with Sash or Tunic in this matchup, really in any Warrior or Guardian matchup, with the difference being that if we are getting value out of our Tunic every turn, we are essentially getting 1 damage per turn. For every 3 turns that Tunic is around. If we were using it, we're getting an extra Mandible Claw in on our turn, or something like pitch a blue, attack with a claw, discard a wind up, use Tunic, play a 2 for 6 from hand. But it's only in multiples of 3, so effectively, if your game goes 9 turns long, you got 9 points of value out of your Tunic. If your game goes 11 turns long, you got 9 points of value out of your Tunic. This is compared with Sash, that gives you 2 points from the defense, and however much damage you were able to work into a turn that you broke it. Let's call it 8. If you were able to get an extra 2 for 6 in on a Blood Rush turn. Thing is, you won't always have the Blood Rush. You might use Sash before the Blood Rush because you saw an opportunity to go Wild Ride, Mandible Claw, Bare Fangs. The Sash is a little more nebulous. It does give you block value, which against Bravo is very relevant. So I'm still testing. We're going to use Sash in this matchup, but just in general, if you are adhering to my sideboard guide, I'm still on Tunic against Guardian and Warrior, and I'm still playing around with, is that the correct plan? Should we be on Sash against everyone? Should we be on Sash versus Victor and Dorinthia, who are less disruptive or less relevant in the late game if they have built up resources? I'll let you know. But for this game, we are on Sash. We're testing it out. Let's submit deck, see what happens. We will be going second into this matchup, which is ideal. Yes, Bravo can get us with a dominated attack turn 1, but it is very unlikely that that dominated attack is presenting relevant disruption. Really, the only impactful thing that Bravo can do on his first turn is a dominated Starstruck or Spinal Crush, which involves drawing the perfect hand, or something like a 4 for 8 Pummel, which again takes the perfect hand and is not even all that relevant because we're probably blocking a lot of it. Let's say we're going to block for 9 on a Choke Slam, and if it's followed by a Pummel, then we discard our last card and we also aren't crushed. Or if the Spinal Crush comes down, then we can block with Armor and the card from hand, or if it's Starstruck, Armor and card from hand. Macho Grande is just damage, and it's 8. We'll block 3, take 5, and crack back. And Bravo doesn't have an arsenal. We see that he doesn't have Balance of Justice. So it's going to be hard for him to catch up if we're taking tempo. We see that we have a Wild Ride in hand. We will very likely get to go 3 links wide on this turn, make a Might, and just really apply pressure. So even though we are going down on turn 0, it's fine. I think blocking with the Bone Breaker here is a mistake. I'd rather save that for something like a dominated Spinal Crush if I'm setting up for a Blood Rush Bellow. But I can be a little riskier with Armor when I have Savage Sash, because that also blocks. With 2 Mights on the board, we could do something like E-Strike Runner, but let's just play the Wild Ride, pitch our blue. We're going to hope that we, I don't necessarily love this. I guess it's going to be E-Strike Claw. I think that's fine. It isn't the line I would necessarily go with. I miss making the Might here, but I can see the appeal of just getting the 3-card 10 and arsenaling go again. But I don't necessarily love this play. Here, I believe we are supposed to start with Wild Ride and pitch our Send Packing, hoping that we are going to discard the Beast Within. The other line we could take is opening with E-Strike, Bottom Smash, Instinct, and give it go again, just to get 2 potential misses out of our hand. That increases the chance, misses in the sense that they aren't Beast Within, to increase our chance of discarding Beast Within to Wild Ride. If the Wild Ride draws and discards a 6 and we still have the Beast Within, we can pitch it for Mandible Claw. I think I like leading with Wild Ride here, but I absolutely understand not doing that to increase our chance of discarding the Beast Within. The downside of doing that being that if we drew a Blood Rush Bellow or a Cast Bones, we have a 50% chance of discarding it compared to what would be a much smaller chance of discarding it if we play the Wild Ride first. Bravo, smartly blocking with Civic Steps. We aren't going to just end our turn to keep this quicken. Drawing into a blue and a Run Roughshod is really nice here. We have discarded a card to Wild Ride, so we're even going to be able to play this second Run Roughshod. Maybe we take this last card out of Bravo's hand, get in for 2 damage. We still have full tempo. Bravo probably understanding that if he can catch us with a hand without go again, we are going to have a hard time keeping tempo. Bravo does have Tunic at this point, so if he can keep a blue and a Chokeslam or a Debilitate together, he gets a 2-card 8 with a relevant on-hit, relevant crush effect, which is really good. I'm deciding if I want to discard the Agile Windup at the end of Bravo's turn. The answer is no, because what does that really do for us? We can set up Might and Agility with the Claw here as opposed to leading with a Wild Ride, which I think is fine. We are keeping tempo away from Bravo. We are going to discard this Windup and then play the Pack Hunt. The downside of this line is that we don't get an arsenal. The upside is that we are potentially making blocking awkward for Bravo. We're threatening damage. We're keeping a card out of arsenal, which means that Bravo has no reason to keep this Command and Conquer. And we have Might and Agility for our next 4-card hand. Bravo getting that 2-card 8. Let's think about whether we want to block this at all. We could put Scab Skins and Smash Instinct in front of it. On our turn, we could E-Strike, bottoming Agile Windup to draw a card, hope that we draw something we can use to pitch to Pulping or Mandible Claw. The downside of that line being that if we draw another red, then we're just pitching 2 reds to Mandible Claw. I do want to prevent the crush effect here, so let's think about probably E-Strike Scabskin. We cover 8, we cover 5, we take 3. On our turn, we attack with Pulping, pitch our Smash Instinct. If we draw a red, we can arsenal it. If we keep our Agile Windup, we could either claw or discard. This is the downside of Savage Sash, because if we had Tunic here, then we can pitch a blue, play a Pulping, draw a discard, then potentially put something in Arsenal and use our Tunic to Mandible Claw. Let's see if we decide to keep the E-Strike. We're taking the draw a card line. I still think this is risky. It pays off here. We do get to attack with the Pulping, which I believe is correct. Keep a card out of Arsenal, and Bravo is looking to keep cards. We would have made a Might. I disagree with this line very much. I think this is wrong. And it is possible that I'm going to try and leverage armor here to play around something like a Command and Conquer Pummel, or even just a Command and Conquer. But I think this is wrong. Anathos for 4 puts us in an interesting position where we could play this Pulping, pitching one of our blues, and take the 75% chance that we don't discard Cast Bones. If this is a defense reaction that Bravo's going to Arsenal, then the Pulping gets stuffed anyway. So what I want to do instead is pitch a Wreck-A-Romp to attack with Mandible Claw, discard a Mighty Windup, then play Cast Bones. I'll have 2 Mights on the board because of the Windup. so it is very difficult for me to miss making the agility with cast bones. That's going to give me some flexibility to play the card, a card that I draw to give it go again, or at the very least I can attack with pulping that has guaranteed go again from the agility. So what that means here is that it feels bad to block with a swing big on just hammer for 4, but it is what I'm going to do because I have no reason to hold on to this swing big, so I might as well just get 3 points of value out of it. We could have kept the swing big, take this line, discard the Mighty Windup to give the claw go again, then pitch cast bones to play swing big, but I think it's going to be better to get that cast bones value and set up for the next turn. We have a Bear Fangs and a Blood Rush Bellow on top of our deck, which is really unfortunate because either of those cards in our hand would be much better than what we have instead. We can play our pulping and take the chance that we draw and don't discard a Blood Rush or a Bear Fangs. But what I will likely want to do instead is just block for 3 here with one of the blues in my hand, then play Command and Conquer for 13 go again, and then Mandible Claw, and set up for that Blood Rush with go again and Arsenal, hopefully draw a blue, and then get sash value as well. So I don't hate blocking for 3 here, just putting an Assault and Battery in front of this, holding on to the Wrecker Romp for that late game 3 block that does turn on Bonebreaker. The other line here would be to take 6 and Command and Conquer for 13 go again, then just play Assault and Battery by pitching a Wrecker Romp. Taking the pulping line instead, getting incredibly lucky as we do draw a Blood Rush Bellow and we don't discard it, which is going to let me Mandible Claw Command and Conquer. So this is really as good as it could have been. Unfortunately, Bravo does have the D-React in Arsenal. We don't lose go again because of agility, but our Command and Conquer is just 2 for 6 as opposed to 2 for 6 with an on hit. Still pushing a lot of damage this turn and setting up that Blood Rush Bellow in Arsenal. With 2 cards and a Tunic, Bravo could 2-card 8 us again. Chokeslam is not something that we can play into if we are intending to Blood Rush Bellow. So we could block with a couple cards from hand, give Send Packing and Riled Up to block 6, prevent the crush effect, then just pitch Blood Rush to play Bear Fangs. We could also give 5 points of armor with Flesh Bag, Bonebreaker, and Scab Skins to prevent the crush effect, then play out 4-card Blood Rush with Sash. I don't love that line because I don't currently have Go Again and I'm not guaranteed to draw into something like a Wild Ride or a Pulping. If we discard our Bear Fangs to the Blood Rush and draw some useless cards, then our Send Packing doesn't have an on-hit. So I am much more okay with just putting Riled Up and Send Packing in front of this Chokeslam, taking 2, and then throwing a 2-card 9 at Bravo with Bear Fangs. We aren't under any pressure, really. We do draw a discard Beast Within, which is pretty unfortunate because we don't have an action point. Even more unfortunate, we hit a Cast Bones off the top, so we don't even... we lose an extra point of life and a Cast Bones. So pretty unfortunate there. As far as how to play out this hand, it's kind of bad. We could play Pulping, pitch Beast Within, hope to draw a blue, and then discard either CNC or Smash Instinct. That gets stuffed by Bravo having a D-React in Arsenal. I think as not great as it is, playing the Blood Rush here might be correct. We have a 66% chance to keep our pulping. If we draw into a blue, then we're kind of set. We do have our Sash that can make an all-red Blood Rush playable. I just don't really see a better option for this turn if we aren't playing Blood Rush. We play the pulping, we pitch our Beast Within, and we just kind of hope that it all works out, or we play the Blood Rush and have a little more impact this turn. Pitching our Command and Conquer instead is kind of an interesting line. We don't float a resource like we would by pitching the Beast Within, but we at least have a 33% chance, a 50% chance even, of discarding the Beast Within. And we, if we do hit, we draw an extra card. If we don't hit, we have a blue, or a yellow to pitch for the rest of our turn. This hand is going to be okay. I think we break Sash and we play Wild Ride, pitching the Wild up. We float 2 resources. We have a chance to discard our Beast Within. If we draw, discard just anything and keep Beast Within Smash Instinct, then we get to Mandible Claw Smash Instinct. If we discard the Smash Instinct and get something else, we can play whatever we draw off the top of our deck. This has a high chance of being a very good turn. It turns into a much less good turn by drawing a blue and discarding a red, but we do get a lot of block out of Bravo, and we are going to get to Mandible Claw for 5, Beast Within for 8. So still threatening quite a lot of damage this turn, enabled by Sash. It could have been a lot better than it ended up being, but even for just a 5-card Blood Rush fueled by a red, it ended up being pretty good. We push a decent amount of damage, and we got Bravo's Crown. We get Bravo's entire hand. He has no arsenal, so this is not bad. The hand that we draw into is bad, as Command and Conquer is not threatening an on-hit. Very likely what we're going to do here is Mandible Claw for 4, discard Agile Windup to make my agility, get the claw go again, then pitch second Windup to play Command and Conquer. We threaten a decent amount of damage. We don't particularly care about having any of these cards in Arsenal, and the other line here would have been play Agile Windup by pitching a blue, then discard the second Agile Windup and Arsenal Command and Conquer, but I'm totally fine with this. We keep cards out of Arsenal. I wish that I could check Bravo's graveyard here just to see what his played and blocked Command and Conquer count is, to know if we do really get punished by putting a card in Arsenal, if there is a chance that we get CNC'd. The hand that we draw into is not great. If we play a Wild Ride and pitch a yellow, draw a blue, then the hand is pretty good. If we draw, discard another red, then we either Arsenal a card and take an intellect penalty, or we just Mandible Claw. But we don't have much of a better line outside of that. What I might want to do is block with Pack Hunt, just to mitigate some damage, then throw 9 power Swing Big and Arsenal a Wild Ride. If I had a blue in this hand, I would just take damage. But without a blue, I think playing a little more conservatively is fine. In either case, we don't take advantage of agility. Wild Ride just has go again. Or if we take this line and play the Swing Big, we can't use the action point. But we are setting up a 5-card hand that has go again, and we are threatening 9. We still have a bunch of armor, so we can cover CNC Pummel. We're pretty good here. Bravo just gives us more D-reacts, takes a little bit of damage. He can throw a 2-card 8, but of course we have blocking armor. Or Bravo just plays Sigil and hammers. This is not a hand that I am going to block with. I'm going to open with pulping, pitching one of my blues, basically hoping to just draw, discard nothing of importance. Instead, we draw into a Blood Rush Bellow. So lucky that we didn't discard it to the Pulping, but unfortunately we are now in a position where maybe we discard it to a Wild Ride. That's fine. I think we can still just claw Wild Ride and hope to win the 50-50, because our other line is just Pitch Blue, Mandible Claw, pass, take an intellect penalty. I don't know if I love that line when I'm already ahead on tempo. I think playing the Wild Ride here is correct. We just take the 50-50, and because we don't have floating resources left, if the Wild Ride bricks and discards the Blood Rush, it doesn't matter that we didn't have go again. We also now put ourselves in a position where, what are we doing with this turn? We're going to play Blood Rush, pitch Cast Bones. We don't have Sash to supplement the fact that we only have reds. Worth noting that we had a Cast Bones on top of our deck, so the Wild Ride is going to brick either way, but then we either put a Blood Rush or a Cast Bones in our arsenal, which is great. We are going to Blood Rush here, pitching the Cast Bones, because there isn't really anything else to do with this turn. We do have tempo that we would like to keep. Choosing the 75% is pretty good. We do unfortunately draw into another red where we would have really liked a blue. Looking at my opponent's Command and Conquer count here to see if I get punished for arsenaling a card, because if I can play Cast Bones here and arsenal a Bear Fangs, that's really good. The other line would be pitch 2 reds to Mandible Claw, but I think trying to set up a big Bear Fangs Cast Bones is okay. Drawing into 2 blues is great. We have a Pack Hunt and a Runner on top of our deck with something else. We only drew 3 cards. Knowing that we have 2 reds on top of our deck, this is a little spooky. I think it is fine to block with Smash, Instinct, Bonebreaker, and Scab Skins. What I might do instead is block with... No, that's right. I was going to say Fleshbag, Bonebreaker, Windup, but that's only 5, and we need to cover 6. So we lose out on the effect of Bonebreaker, but we keep 3 cards in hand, one of which being a yellow, so I think this is fine. We're going to open with Bear Fangs, pitching our blue, and just hope that we have a playable hand after that. Bear Fangs for 15 go again is pretty balanced. That is what I would call a well-balanced card. Bravo's just going to give us a bunch of cards on defense. I think that we could attack with Mandible Claw and Arsenal Runner and be fine. We could attack with Mandible Claw and discard Agile Rhino to make agility, and that would be fine, but I also think that pushing 6 here is good enough. We put Bravo to 7, and we are just going to hold on to tempo. The hand that we draw into is not good unless we are willing to roll Scabs, which you know I never am. So what I don't hate doing here is playing Smash Instinct and over-pitching Runner and Run Roughshod to do so. We threaten 8 points of damage, put Bravo into a position where he's very likely going to block with 2 cards, maybe even blocks with 3 and hammers on his turn. And what we're doing here is just getting a red without go again out of our hand. We arsenal the Pack Hunt. We set up for our Cheetah Claw 2 power 6 turn cycle, and if that 2 power, the 2 cost 6 we can end with is Pack Hunt, then maybe we just win the game based on that. The Intimidate being very good. Bravo takes 3. C, he might have the 2 card 8. He might also just Bravo ability Anathos. Throws the Debilitate for 8. We could take 8, go to 6. and just have a debilitate, deal 2 less damage with our wild ride, but still get to 3/3/6, which is threatening 10 points of damage and strips a card out of Bravo's hand. But I think we also just have tempo in this game. We can put 2 send packings in front of the debilitate, take 2, throw a wild ride for 5 that Bravo needs to give us a card from hand to stop, and then make a might token. Alternatively, we block with the flesh bag, we don't get crushed, and we do hold on to a card that will let us pack hunt from Arsenal. If we had drawn a blue here, then we get to claw pack hunt, which is incredible. Throwing the pack hunt here is fine. This is 6 damage. Bravo can go to 1. He can also block with Tunic and go to 2. I don't see a reason to do that. If we're running Reckless, then 2 and 1 are the same life total. The hand we draw into is absolutely atrocious. Just 4 blues is not going to close out this game. But what we are hoping for is just converting this to damage. We can take the Amethyst, go to 7. On our turn, we claw for 4, discard wind up, assault and battery, which will get at least 3 cards out of Bravo's hand, if not 4, and we set up 2 might for our next turn. We can take another hammer and go down to 3. There is still go again in our deck. We now have 2 mights that are waiting for our next turn. We're okay. We're in a very good position in this game. We're at an effective 8 because our Scab Skin still has block value, which here we will just block with the Scab Skins or not. It doesn't matter. We have the Blood Rush Bellow. We have 2 might, so we're going to get to claw for 7, which very likely takes 3 cards out of Bravo's hand, and then just whatever the follow-up is wins the game. Which in this case can just be claw for 7, riled up for 8. That'll be enough to win a game of Flesh and Blood. Discard the Agile Windup, make an Agility, and really just, in this case, not trying to be on the Bravo, just showing what we have in hand. And we get there just through a solid Guardian plan. Pretty good Savage Sash turn. I think it could have been better. We saw that this game went to turn 18. So in theory, Tunic is worth 18 points of value over the course of this game. We can be conservative and say that we aren't getting to work Tunic into a turn cycle every time it's up. But even if we say, oh, it's worth 12 points of value, let's say we burned a lot of value from Tunic, it is still worth more than what we got from Sash. We had an impressive Sash Blood Rush turn, but I don't think it can compete with Tunic value, considering that what we would do if we didn't have Sash on that particular turn is just not play Blood Rush, just do something else that is still pushing damage. But like I said, undecided on Sash in every matchup. I do think it is better against Bravo than against Victor because it gives us more opportunity to stop Dominated Crippling Crush, but I will get back to you on that. I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you learned something. If so, be sure to take that like button to Pound Town. My comments are always open for any questions or feedback. If you haven't already done so, please consider a YouTube subscription. It's free, it helps me out, but no matter what you do, catch me back here tomorrow for more daily FaB gameplay. And until then, take care.